In this video, we're going to be actually creating the final, or at least the final part for our dashboard. What we're going to do is we're going to actually create it so we could configure settings on our Discord bot from our dashboard, which is basically the main point of a dashboard. So we're going to have a lot of coding in today's video, so I hope you're prepared for that. It's going to be fun, and yeah, that's about it. But before we get into the coding, first we have to learn how Discord dashboards work. So Discord dashboards, what they do is they communicate with a database, a mutual database that not only the bot uses but the dashboard also. And what it does is the dashboard updates the database with information. So let's say we have a table for prefixes. Now the bot grabs that database, right, and it searches for the prefix for that guild, and then it uses that prefix. So what we can do from the dashboard is we can update that database with the prefix. So let's say we want our prefix to be ! We can update that, and now next time a user uses a command, the bot will first look into the databases folder, or inside the database, it'll see that ! is this prefix, and it'll use that. I hope that made sense. And yeah, that's how every Discord dashboard works. It communicates with the database. So now let's implement that into our Discord bot. So what we're going to first want to do is we want to create something for each Discord bot, if that makes sense, or Discord server. So we want to do app.root and then do /dashboard integer guild ID. We'll just do guild_ID and then do async def dashboard server and then pass in guild ID. Now we have guild ID passed in. We're just gonna run a simple if statement. If not, await discord.authorized. So if they're not like logged in, then we're just gonna send them to the login URL. So it's gonna redirect them to URL for login. Now we can actually get with the coding on it. So we can do guild equals await IPC _ client dot request get guild, and then guild equals guild ID. So what this would do is essentially just over here in our file we have, I guess, our IPC client, and actually what we should add is a listener inside here, which that we could use to get guild. It's basically, it's gonna be I think it's an IPC route, and we use that to actually grab data from it. Also, I got mixed up with the, I guess, naming. It should be capital C, like that. But what we can do is just really quickly create this, I guess, IPC.root. So we're just gonna do @client.ipc.root, and inside here, async def get _guild_count, pass in data, and then here we can just return len client.guilds. Simple as that. And then we're going to create another one practically very similar to this. Instead of get guild.count, we can just do get guild.ids. It's going to pass in data again. Let's do final. So create an empty array, and then we're just going to append things to this array. So for guild in client.guilds, final.append, let's see if that would work, and guild.id. So for every single guild that the, I guess, bot is in, it'll add it to the array, and then we can just return this array like so. And last one that we're going to do is actually the one that we're using. So client.ipc.root, once again async def, and this one's just get guild data, and then guild equals client.get underscore guild. Sorry, I'm a bit messy right now, but then this should just be data dot guild underscore ID. So that's what we're using as a parameter. And do if guild is none, then return none. And lastly, guild underscore data. And this is how we're gonna actually return the data. So we're gonna give them the name. It's gonna be just guild.name. If you want to pass in more parameters, or if you want to return more, you can obviously do that. The owner or anything. We're not gonna need any of that right now, so we're just gonna pass in what we need. And then we can also pass in a prefix. So let's call this, I don't know, like so. And that's it. Sorry, I just forgot to return guild data. Like so. And that's it. Those are all the routes created. It was pretty simple. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue, I guess, with our dashboard. So let me just fix this up. Let's get rid of that. That's not needed. And also just one extra one that we don't need. But now if we do if guild is none, return redirect, and we're going to redirect them. So basically what this does is if the bot isn't inside that server, for example, we have server A, the bot isn't added to that, it's only added to server B, we're gonna give them an invite URL because everybody should be able to invite the bot. So you could do this multiple ways. I have this on the side here, which is actually pretty handy. I'll leave this in the description if I remember, but essentially all it does is it crafts its own I guess redirect URL. So it uses our client ID that was specified right over here, and then what it does is it grabs the guild ID which is specified here, and then it grabs the redirect URI, and that's it. And then lastly what we can do is just do return 08 render template, and this isn't going to actually render dashboard server.html, but it's just going to render server.html, like so. And honestly, this is all we need to pass in. But I'm also going to pass in the guild name. So guild name. This is once again from here. We're just grabbing the name variable from there. But also I forgot to close it. I forgot a comma there. So anyways, after we have that done, and also you might just want to create a template, a new one, server.html. We're not going to do that much coding in here right now. We will after. But yeah, I just gave it some default code as you can see here. But now let's create a post method because we're going to actually add a form in there that you could use to set the prefix. So we can do app.root once again. And this is going to be once again very simple. Similar to this also, and comma methods, and we're going to use the post method, and then do async def. Same thing here, dashboard server, but then have post at the end. Pass in guild underscore ID. Keep going, and honestly, it's the same thing as this, so we can actually just copy and paste this code like so. But there is a difference now. So over here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a couple extra things. We're gonna do new prefix equals await request dot get underscore JSON. Now you might be saying, well, you have an error here. What's request? We never imported it. Well, that's because we have to go up to quart here, right here, and then add in request, like so. And then we can also do new prefix equals new prefix, and then we have to grab the set prefix value. like so. And there we go. Now what this would do is after we fill out our form, this is how, like, this variable will just contain our prefix. Now this is where you're gonna have to integrate it into your database. So here is my database, prefixes.db. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to add it to this database. So if I were to actually open up this database, you'd actually see that I have some information inside of here. So this is my testing guild, or actually my regular guild, and the prefix was just Rome with a space at the end. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to update this database. Now if you're using Postgres, MongoDB, whatever this is SQLite 3. I'm just going to use that to upload it or set it up. I have an entire prefixes video and a database video that you should check out if you don't have a current database set up. So just check that out beforehand or after this video, after you do this code, and then you can test it out. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this. So once again, you might have something different. You might have Postgres, which then you're going to have to adapt your code for that. But for this, we're going to do async with SQLite dot connect, and then pass in your DB. So we have prefixes dot DB, or actually it doesn't have an E at the end. Open that up, and then actually I forgot. I should probably import it like so. But now let's actually code into it. So we can do async with another one, db.connect as cursor, and I also forgot here, this should be as db. But after we have that, then we can do await cursor.execute and do select, and here we're going to do prefix from, and it's actually called prefixes, I guess. It's not spelled correctly, but I'm never good at spelling, so yeah. And then inside there we're going to do where guild equals question mark, and then pass in guild underscore ID. So what we're doing is we're going inside of this table and we're going to select prefix from there, but we're going to make sure that the guild matches up where we select it from. So now, and then we can do just data equals await cursor dot fetch 1, and so it'll just fetch this data for us there, and it stores in the data variable. Now we can do if data, so if the data actually exists, we can do await cursor dot execute, and then insert into setup. Oh, actually no, I'm looking at the wrong code here, but update, and we have to update it. So update prefixes, set prefix equals that where the guild. It's pretty simple, and it works just like that. If they don't have it, or if they don't have prefixes set up, then we can actually set it up for them just by doing await cursor dot execute, and we actually don't need to have string this. Insert into prefixes, and here we have two values. So we have, this should actually be swapped here, and then it sets that, and then this also should be swapped. Make sure you add another comma at the end of it also. So like this. And then after we insert a value into there, sorry, one last thing I forgot, we should actually commit this. So await db.commit, like so. But what this would do is this would just update our prefixes database. And then inside of our dashboard main folder, we can actually just set it up, or set it up so it can grab the prefix. This is also, all of this is explained, so I'm not going to do the get prefix code right now because that's just explained in my prefixes video, and I think you should have watched that if like you're following along with this, because many people requested that it work with the code. Anyways, believe it or not, that is the bulk of our dashboard post done. Now what we can do is move on to server.html. And this actually isn't that hard either. So we're just going to start off by doing quick H1 and doing here or guild name dashboard, because remember we imported it in here, guild name. But then after that we can actually do create a piece saying set prefix for server, and then we're going to create a form. So form with the action as actually nothing, but method is post. Let's end up form, and then inside the form we're going to put in only two things, an input value and a button. So actually here, and then we can just change this to button type submit, and then ID should be submit btn, and then set prefix, and we can close off the button. And now also in the name for the input, we gotta change this up. So, and you have to make sure it corresponds. So I'm gonna keep my ID as set prefix, and then over here we're also gonna do set prefix as the name, and we're gonna search for these both. And you could put in a placeholder if you'd like, so you could do type prefix here, maybe something like that. And then that's our form.u done. That's basically it. But we're not done there. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna add a script, some JavaScript that actually, what do you call it, grabs this data and updates some things. So what we're gonna do is actually, I forgot, we should do set this and keep an ID as prefix show. I'm just gonna do that, and then do no new prefix found. That's what we're gonna set to for now. Keyword for now. But anyways, we're gonna finish off making our script tag. After that, inside here, we're gonna do document.getElementById, and we're gonna grab submit btn. And then we're gonna do add event listener, and we're gonna listen for a click. Once the click happens, we're gonna make an arrow function and open it up. So like here. Now this is some JavaScript, so not all of you guys will actually understand it, but for those you do, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna grab what was in here in the input button, create it into like a JSON string, and then we're just gonna send that over to the dashboard. It should be pretty easy. So we're gonna do e.prevent default, and then all of this we don't actually need, so I'm just gonna get rid of that. But then after that, we're gonna fetch slash dashboard slash guild ID. Now we have to make sure that guild ID was actually added as a parameter, which it wasn't, so my fault. Add a comma guild ID, so it's gonna change that. We can add that for the other one too, because we're gonna need it over here. Yep, right there. So now we know what the URL actually is for it. Now what we can do is we can, I guess, just send the JSON file there. So add a comma, and then what I'm gonna do is open this up a bit further, and we're gonna have method equal to post, and once again this isn't needed. And then we can do headers, which is gonna be content type application slash JSON, and then we're also gonna do add a comma here, accept application slash JSON. And then we're gonna go a bit more and then do body is json.stringify set prefix, and then do document.getElementById set prefix dot value. And then we can get rid of these extra little strings that were accidentally generated. So yeah, let's just run through this code real quick. So what it does is it goes into the button and it waits for someone to click it. Once it's clicked, it'll grab the actual information on the input here. and then it'll, I guess, just convert that into a JSON, and it'll use the post. And then what it'll do is it'll keep the property for it to set prefix, which is what we grab over here, set prefix. And then it'll grab the value from the input itself. And now last thing we want to do is we want to actually update one of this things. So here, inside here, we can just do document.getElementById, and let's pass in prefix show .inner HTML. This just basically did it for me. That's just Copilot for you. It's pretty useful. But yeah, all this will do is it will also update this no prefix found to our updated prefix. Pretty handy. But now that should be it. There's actually one last bit of code that we have to add in the dashboard.html, which is pretty simple actually. It shouldn't take that much time, sorry for dragging it on. But what we want to do is we want to create a div. So div, which stands for divider, and we're gonna add the class. Honestly, we don't actually need a class. If you want to add a class, you can for the CSS, but we're just gonna do that and then do h2 pick a server to edit. After that, what we're gonna do is add section, and then we're gonna also close the section like so. And inside of this section, we're gonna do a bit of for loop stuff. So I'm going to do %, and this is actually how you run for loops and loops, I guess, in HTML using Flask. So we're going to do for guild in guilds, and then we're going to create another one. I don't know why, but the surrounding things went away. But then we're going to create another div. Yes, another one. And this one, we don't actually need a class again. And then we can do 80, which will actually href to the dashboard itself. So slash dashboard dot slash dashboard slash and then guild dot id. Now we can actually open up this entire a tag like so, and then we're gonna actually grab like the icon URL. So same thing here, create an if statement if guild dot icon underscore URL is not none, then what we can do is create img src, which is source, and we're just going to grab the URL for it. So do guild.icon underscore URL. Simple as that. And then we're actually going to add a class to this one, which would be guild.class underscore color, like so. And then we can also end off that image tag. But now let's do else. Wait. So say there isn't actually a guild icon for that. Then what we can do is actually have an asset here for Discord, and I'm just gonna copy that in. It's just the same thing right here, and that's just like the default logo for Discord, like you know, that just Discord iconic logo that you've seen. And then we can just end that if statement. You can add anything you want over there, and yes, I'll also keep this in the description if I remember, of course. And then lastly, what we want to do is we want to create a BR self-closing, and then here is guild.name. So just do pass in the guild.name itself, and this should also be wrapped in two of them. And that's the end of the div, and we can end the for loop there like so. And that's it. That's the dashboard code, and that's actually all of the code for it. So now I'll show you how you can actually run it, and it's a bit weird. So in Windows, we're going to use a .bat file, .bat that we configured in part 2. Now, if you haven't configured this yet, I just added the code. You're going to have to first run your dashboard file, so put in the path to that, and your dashboard.py file. This is for Windows. It's a bit different for Linux and for Mac. If you're using Linux, I think you know what you're doing, and just search up like a .bat equivalent for Linux. And essentially all you want to do is just run the bot file itself and then the dashboard file, and then open up this URL right here. And same thing for Mac OS. You just want to search that up. I think a quick Stack Overflow search should be able to help you. But anyways, after we're done with that, we're just gonna run it. So I'm gonna create a new terminal right here, and what we're gonna do is to run it, just start run file, and this will open up a bunch of terminal tabs, and it'll actually open up a web server on it. So it should open something like this. So we want to click login here and join dashboard. Just click authorize, this. And then here's our dashboard. It looks a bit different. So pick a server to edit, and you can pick anyone you want. And these are all of the actual servers that I can manage and add bots to. So let's just do my main server right here. So we're going to click on that, and it's going to say go6 get repo dashboard and everything like that. And here we can add in an actual prefix. So what we're going to do is here I'm going to actually show you my Visual Studio Code scene, and inside it you can check right now our prefix is drone, right? But now let's say we want to change it to exclamation mark, like so, or the exclamation mark. We're going to set prefix, and you can see prefix set to the exclamation mark, so it already updated inside the HTML. But now let's see if it updated inside the database, and that's where it really matters, because that's how we're going to be able to get it. So we're going to click this again just to check, and it hasn't updated. And the simple reason for that is because I put db.connect when it should be db.cursor. I actually said it should be db.cursor, but in the video itself, but my brain is just like this. It's a bit too late, Anyways, I ran the same code again, and if I go back here, it's the same thing. We can type in the exclamation mark this time, and it will work. So here we go, and we can update it, and this time you actually see real time it updated for yourself. And now the prefix is the exclamation mark. So when I grab the prefix inside of the bot, it'll use the exclamation mark. You can test this out for yourself right now, and it'll work just like that. Now let's say we want to change it again. So I'm gonna do actually something random, right? I'm gonna a bunch of characters. Actually, that's not a good idea, probably. I'll type in this many. Set prefix. Go right here. All we're gonna do, update it, and it updates to that instantly. So you can just see this is very useful, and you can update it for your dashboard and anything. But yeah, this is part 3 of how to build your own Discord dashboard. Till next time, see you. Close it out.